Sometimes we forget why we're here. It's easy to fall off track. These help us remember.
These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Growing up, I had a dream, something no one else could see. Tell me what it means when your faith is falling beneath your knees and you can't breathe. Everything you see reminds you of what you're not or something you won't be. You gotta take what you're given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business. Not because they wanna do it, just because they heard it pays. And who the fuck wants to be poor knowing that's how we've been raised? Society is getting heavy, I can feel the weight. The pressure of success is like 100 million pounds of shame. And that's the reason I'm staying up late, trying to find a way to escape the stereotypes. This day and age is making me feel like the only way I'll be happy is getting signed to a label and making money through rapping. I wanna share my emotion because this world is attacking the very principle of life that lets the people be happy. If you don't have a reason to breathe, why even live? These battle scars are impressions of everything that it is.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
Now, if I had a voice that reached 100 million people, I'd tell them there's a reason that we're all created equal. Cause some decide to be great and some decide a sequel to an average person's life is simply what they want to be. So you make your decision, all I know is what I'm given. Won't define the life I lead or the way I dwell in existence. I've seen a greater image on the walls of where I'm living, and the words twisted and scripted remind me of something written. Faith is a gift that is given down to the people. If one believes it, one receives it. It's given if it is needed. Don't ever think you're trapped in a life that you never wanted. Your options are infinite, that's some mathematical logic. I'm not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers and these battle scars on my church. Not saying I'm a prophet, I'm speaking for what it's worth. These lyrics define my prayers, these battle scars on my church.
Don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battle scars don't look like they're faded, don't look like they're ever gone away. They ain't never gonna change. These battles.
At 12:16 a.m. on July 12, 1973, the Olivet, Missouri Fire Department received a call that there was a fire at the National Personnel Records Center in Overland, Missouri. They responded quickly. They had firefighters on scene within 4 minutes, but by then the top floor of the 6-story building was already engulfed in flames. Eventually, 42 fire districts would respond to put out the fire, which burned uncontrolled for 22 hours and destroyed between 16 and 18 million U.S. military personnel records. In addition, the firefighters poured millions of gallons on the roof, which did further damage to files on the 5th and 6th floor. According to the current Archivist of the United States, David Ferrero, it was an unparalleled loss to the cultural heritage of our nation.
The Delta Airlines DC-9 was coming in through thick fog for a landing at Boston's Logan International Airport. The fog was so thick that airport safety crews and firemen couldn't find the wreckage until 12 minutes after the crash. All but one of the 89 persons aboard the flight from Burlington, Vermont was killed. There had been an unscheduled stop at Manchester, New Hampshire. A spokesman for the Massachusetts Port Authority said the plane disappeared from Logan's radar screens at 11:09, but the firebox in the control tower was not activated until 11:21. Tower operators thought the plane had landed and sent 2 trucks down the runway to guide the jet into the terminal. The chief of the airport fire department said when his men finally arrived, 3 fires were burning in the plane. Normally, he said, firemen react instantaneously in case of an emergency, but in this case, because of the mistaken belief that the ship was safely on the ground, the direct telephone line between the tower and the fire station was never used. The man who survived the crash, Leopold Cunard of Marshfield, Vermont, is in critical condition at Massachusetts General Hospital with third-degree burns over 80% of his body. Investigators have been flown in from the National...
Okay, I always give you a few clips of some things that were going on at the time. And I always learn something new because, again, I prepare for these episodes with you guys. Oh, hello, everyone. That was kind of an abrupt intro. So, yeah, I did a clip there from the history guy. I had watched his program earlier today about the July 1973 fire at the National Archives, which was, you know, as a amateur historian myself, hurt my heart. Millions of records were destroyed, and I didn't even know to this day that veterans are having trouble getting some of their benefits as records were destroyed then. So that was also quite a loss. But also, I'm going to show you on a timeline of events, because we are moving into July, August 1973. There were a lot of plane crashes in July 73. Woof. I don't know, like, what was going on, but I'm going to show you a timeline, and you're going to be like, holy shit, I wouldn't have gotten on a plane for nothing back then. That was, like, it just absolutely crazy. I do want to, before, 1 second here, I need to pull up my overlays. As usual, below you can find my Patreon at patreon.com/Pink Flame of Liberty. If you would like to support the work that I do, which has become quite varied, I think tomorrow we might be doing a ballot access show, then please do consider becoming a patron. It is really helping me out during my time of unemployment, and again, perhaps transitioning to doing more of this type of thing. I don't want to say full-time, but maybe part-time and part-time. And I see Mike Seebeck says he was still in diapers. You're still in diapers now. You're still a baby. Okay, and I still do have a little bit of a cough. But I thought that was just super, super interesting. But I do want to pull up. Let me pull up here. That's not... First, I want to show you this timeline. Here we go. It's from Wikipedia. Hold on 1 second here. I need to hide that. Let me hide that. And see if we can pull this down a little. If that's working. Okay. And I need to look on my own screen here. Okay, so July of 73. You might not be able to see this too well on the screen. You could go check out Wikipedia as well yourself. But, boo hiss, July 1st, the DEA was founded. So right when the party was in its infancy, the DEA was founded. And let me find here, Betty Grable died. These are all in July of 73. We'll go over August of 73 in an additional episode. But I'm trying to find some of the other things here, and I'm not able to really scroll on the screen. Give me 1 second. Queen had their debut album. It also happened in July of 73. The Watergate scandal. A former White House aide, Alexander Butterfield, informs the United States Senate Watergate Committee that President Richard Nixon had secretly recorded potentially incriminating conversations. The monarchy in Afghanistan was destroyed. A couple ships collide. Bruce Lee also died. And the Pan American World Airways Flight 816 crashes into the Pacific Ocean 30 seconds after takeoff in Tahiti, killing everybody. The Ozark Airlines Flight 809 had wind shear and a thunderstorm, crashes in Missouri, killing 38 of the 44 people on board. Nixon refuses to turn over the tapes. And the crash we had just looked at, I'm trying to find it here. Yes, this was at the end of July. It crashed because of poor visibility in Boston's Logan Airport, and all but one passenger had died. And that same passenger, you couldn't tell from that news clip, died like 3 months or 4 months later. So there was quite a bit that did happen that particular month. But wow, 3 big plane crashes in 1 month. I would not be flying. I suppose things just weren't as safe then. I don't know. But I thought that was pretty traumatic, actually. But let's pull up what we're actually here to talk about, which is LP News. And yes, I am the extremist Facebook was warning you about. We'll drink to that. Okay. Now, I thought there was some fascinating stuff in this month's LP News. Well, actually, remember, it's a dual month. It's July, August. So I'll be digging out all kinds of things from this time period that we're going to be going over the next 2 months during our history time together, which is generally every Friday. So taking a look right from the beginning here, 1973 convention. Back then, we had yearly conventions. So there was a convention in 72, 73, 74. I don't think we started to go every other year till the 80s. But I guess we will find that out. And yes, Dave Davis, that fire was it was all military records that was destroyed in that fire. All right, so continuing with the LP News. The second annual LP convention was held in Strongsville, Ohio, June 8th through 10th, and attracted over 175 libertarians from all over the country, including representatives from most of the other majoritarian, and because my coughing is still bothering me, major libertarian organizations in the United States and a number of Canadians. I just like the way that was thrown in there. It began with a session on the use of issues to gain public support held Friday afternoon. This session was moderated by LP News editor David F. Nolan and featured Willis Stone of the Liberty Amendment Committee. And I am pretty sad that the Liberty Amendment died. That was to get rid of the income tax. That would still be something worthwhile supporting today. Carl Bray of the Tax Rebellion Committee, Gary Greenberg of New York, and Stephen Brown of Oklahoma. Howard Katz of the National Committee to Restore the Gold Standard was also invited to be a panelist, but could not be located. What does that mean? Does that mean he was invited and he said he would come, but then he disappeared and didn't show up? Or he showed up, but then they couldn't find him? Or they couldn't find him to invite him? That sentence is so vague, I don't know what it means. And I'm really curious. Pardon me. The session generated an enthusiastic response from the floor, with Carl Bray, the tax martyr himself, in particular drawing applause. Friday evening, over 150 packed the hall to participate in a speaker's banquet arranged by the Ohio LP. This event, which was the highlight of the convention for many, featured nearly 20 speakers. Damn, that's quite a marathon, isn't it? Who held the audience rapt until nearly 1 a.m. with only a brief break to allow people to watch the 11 o'clock news on television. I'm just picturing this scene, which included an interview with LP spokeswoman Kay Haroff, Susan Nolan, and Fran Youngstein. Featured speakers at the Friday evening dinner were Tony Nathan and Roger McBride. McBride received a lengthy standing ovation with several McBride and 76 banners appearing around the room. Other speakers included Dave and Sue Nolan, Ed Clark, Ed Crane, Willis Stone, Kay Haroff, Bob Steiner, Carl Bray, and Susan Brown, plus a nearly dozen delegates from the Free Libertarian Party of New York, including chairperson Andrea Millen. We did a video on Andrea, I think 2 or 3 episodes ago. What an inspiring woman. Quote-unquote token radical Sam Konkin, David Friedman, who spoke on Icelandic sagas, Howard Katz, and Mayoral, I can never pronounce that word, Merrill, candidate for mayor. Merrill. How do you say that? Merrill. Merrill. That's an awful word. Ban it. Fran Youngstein, who was the hit of the show. On Saturday morning, events resumed with a buffet breakfast, during which delegates heard taped greetings from the movement's two leading intellectuals, John Hospers and Murray Rothbard. This was followed by a seminar on the use of media, moderated by Pip Bowles, who is the first platform committee chair, and featuring Tony Nathan, Carl Bray, Don Ernsberger of SIL fame, Bill Westmiller, and Paul Streitz. Interest in this session was so great that it had to be extended an extra half hour and was finally terminated only because of the need to break for lunch. Lightweights. Oh, and before anyone notices, because I know everyone freaking notices my nails, all right? I was able to do these. Pretty, right? Nice. But I wasn't able to do these, so they're nasty. So I got nice nails and nasty nails, so now I got it out of the way so nobody will comment. I know you're going to comment anyway. But I was going to comment before you commented. I still can't pronounce that word. Merrill. Merrill. It's awful. It's an awful word. Some sadist invented that word. The third political action training session, which convened after lunch, was devoted to the subject of fundraising. Under the skillful leadership of D. Frank Robinson, woot woot, he's our man, 3 fundraising experts, Wayne, look how Wayne is spelled, W-A-I-N. I like that spelling. Dave Walter and Bob Meyer. I see you, Thomas. I see what you did there. Imparted invaluable tips on this vital subject. The final session was devoted to the subject of organizing a state LP. This consisted of a freewheeling give and take by present and prospective state LP chairman under the guidance of National Vice Chairman Ed Clark, who has served as chairman of both the New York and California LP organizations. Funny, enough time had already passed for one guy to have been chair of 2 different state LPs. Throughout the day Saturday, in conjunction with the main sessions, there were also numerous workshops on a wide variety of topics ranging from public speaking to Indian affairs. One of the most popular was that on the tax issue, held by anti-tax leaders including Carl Bray and Willis Stone. An outgrowth of this meeting was the formation of a tax strike coalition, which may prove to be one of the most significant libertarian groups in America in the near future. Saturday evening, the convention wound up with a poolside luau. I'm just picturing the 70s clothes. I don't know. I would have loved to go back in time and see this, wouldn't you? Arranged by the Ohio LP, where, as the phrase goes, a good time was had by all. I bet it was. In its entirety, the 73 LP Con was a great success, and thanks are due to the Ohio Party and to Kay Haroff, Sue Arnold, Tom Tanner, and Ross and Goldie Black in particular for doing so much to make it the success it was. So we'll give a decades late round of applause for the 1973 convention. And apparently also at the bottom of the page, what would become the LNC I don't know when it started becoming that, called that, but it was just called the National Executive Committee at that time. And I have all kinds of different feelings about them right now. All right. At the National LP Executive meeting on Sunday, June 10th, several actions of importance were undertaken. Georgianne Trammell was elected secretary. Hello to my predecessor. And they misspelled secretary. It's a secretary. To fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Diana Amston. Diana, as you may know, did write one of the proposed statements of principles. She was also the chair of the New Mexico LP, hardcore Ayn Randian, and I don't know when she quit the party, but she did quit at some point. She is still alive today and is a Republican. Winston Duke and Bill Westmiller were elected to fill vacancies created by the resignations of Pat Lowry and Paul Hodgson. $1,800 was appropriated. We don't use that word anymore. We would say, I guess, encumbered. Appropriated sounds kind of like devious, doesn't it? For display ads in analog, a co-op ad with reason, commentary and human events, plus classified ads in the Wall Street Journal and Intellectual Digest. Ed Clark was put in charge of setting up a committee to review the National LP Constitution. We did have a constitution at that time. It was 1980 when we combined the Constitution and bylaws, in order to recommend changes in membership structure in 74, and so that the need for dual memberships, national and state, can be eliminated. Interesting. I never knew we had that. It was voted to aid the New York and New Jersey parties in their current campaign efforts by giving them full-page ads and reason, allowing them to have inserts in LP News, I guess we'll be seeing those in the future, and making mailing lists available to them. Bids for, and here's like history really being made. I mean, obviously it's past history to us, but I like reading about things when I know what's going to happen. So here it says, bids for the 74 convention were taken from Dallas and Chicago, and we now know that Dallas did win, and the party changed forever at the 74 convention in Dallas. And the fall 73 executive committee meeting was set for Denver on November 24th. Now, Dave Davis is trying mayoral. Is that? But there's no I in it. It's just mayor, which is a weird word, A-L. But is it mayoral? Because that's easier to pronounce if it's mayoral. But where's the I? I'm asking. Inquiring minds want to know. But check out the next page here. I think this is so cool. Look at these pictures. I wish I had the originals of these, but check them out up in the top there. Those three ladies. Sue Nolan on the far left, who I did meet recently. Unfortunately, as I said, she's been ravaged by Alzheimer's. Fran Youngstein, who used to campaign a lot. She's from New York. And obviously Tony Nathan. And Tony's the shortest of the three ladies. Roger McBride is receiving a bouquet from Kay Haroff. And there's three more heavyweights. Andrea Millen, Gary Greenberg, Tony Nathan. You can see that picture, second row, of Dave Nolan. That is so frickin' 70s. He looks like a serial killer. Then next to them, Georgianne Trammell and Tony Nathan. Underneath is Kay Haroff smoking a cigarette. That's what it looks like to me with the way her hands are. And in public, too. What a sinner. Kay Haroff and Bob Steiner. And then Ohio LP members. That big sign in the back that says Libertarian. Look, Dave Nolan and Sam Conkin caught conspiring. And at the bottom is the funniest picture of all, because our LNC meetings still look exactly the same. It's the long-ass tables with everyone sitting looking bored. Merrill Oral. Merrill Oral? I can't do it. I can't do it. So yeah, that bottom picture is giving me post-traumatic stress disorder. But yeah. Oh, and the photos are, say mirror followed by ol. Merrill ol. That's still too weird for me. Merrill ol. There needs to be an I in there. Mayoral. See, that's easy. Mayoral. It's like gubernatorial. Why isn't it eel? I am going to need to find this out. So Ross Black, whoever you are, I wish I had these original pictures that you took. But that's a neat little blast from the past there. On the next page is the political perspective. Let's flip there. We always do that as a separate episode, and we're going to do it as a bonus again. That'll probably be next week, if not sooner, because we get into more things that are outside the LP. And as you can see, this political perspective is talking about Watergate, which, woof, we're going to be getting into that. But down in the bottom right-hand corner, the rest of LP news continues. So we're going to pick up there, where it says LP groups to recruit at state fairs. And we might look up this mayoral thing before we're done. But In many areas, the annual event of the summer is the state or county fair, where thousands or even millions of people come to see exhibits set up by various organizations. And this opportunity to reach people by having an LP booth, which we still do to this day. I have many fond memories of outreach booths, is being taken advantage of by several LP groups. I already said that, notably the Oklahoma and Alaska parties and the FLP group in Poughkeepsie, New York. If you're interested in understanding understaking? What? Is understaking a word? Shouldn't that be undertaking? Do you see? If you are interested in understaking, that can't be a word. They must mean undertaking. Somebody look up that. Let me know if understaking is a word. A fair project, contact the Oklahoma LP and see page 32 of the Political Action Manual. Maybe we'll do the Political Action Manual also as a bonus. How does that sound? Because it already is referring to page 32. Let me circle that, so I can remember we want to do that. Okay. California Libertarians picket. You don't hear the word picket very often. You hear protest, but not picket. Eviction trial. A group of California LP members led by David Merrick of Monterey recently received media coverage by picketing a trial where the government is seeking to evict an elderly couple who don't want to give up their home to urban renewal planners. Not only have Merrick and company succeeded in getting the trial moved once by influencing public opinion against the bureaucrats, but they have conveyed to the public the fact that the LP stands for true humanitarian ideals and the government is the violator of human rights. I wonder what happened with that trial. I would love to find that out. I wonder if I look up the news, if I go to newspapers.com, if I can find anything about this trial. Because I like to bring you back in time and we can figure out what's going on. Say, Chief. Why would I say that? Iowa? What, Chief? Iowa? Nana. Oh, guys. You already know I have trouble pronouncing shit. Okay. Last page. Well, there's an ad also we're going to look at, but the last page of text is bits and pieces, which is, as it sounds, little bits and pieces of news. And we always find out some really cool things in this. Hosper's Politics of Liberty. I don't think I've ever heard or seen that. An excellent statement of the basics of libertarian political philosophy has been recorded. So it's an audio by Dr. John Hospers for Academic Associates. It's on albums. Can you imagine buying audio speeches on albums and cassettes? I'd love to get that, but I've never seen it. I'll have to start looking for this. And then Political Systems article reprints available. Another thing I'm going to need to look for. National LP now has available reprints of your editor's article on classifying and analyzing politico-economic systems. I might have a copy of this because I think I have a copy of that issue of Individualist magazine in January 71. Proved effective as an educational tool for explaining the differences between libism and other political philosophies. I think that's where the Nolan chart came from, is that article. I'll have to try to find that. LP Financial Report available. Copies of the National LP Financial Statement for the year June 72 through June 73 can be obtained, blah, blah, blah. We are the only libertarian organization which makes its financial information public. McBride and Remke are the newest Life members. Hospers on radio and TV 120 times in the year. That is pretty fantastic. During a recent phone conversation with John Hospers, your editor learned that Hospers has appeared on radio and TV over 120 times in the last year, promoting the libertarian philosophy with invitations still coming in at the rate of better than one a week. Proof positive that political action is one of the best ways to get the word out to the public. Remember, back then, they had the right idea that using the political platform also to educate, sorry, Justin Amash, you are wrong, is one of the best uses of clout that a third party can do. Convention programs available from Ohio LP. A special, and I need to see if I have any of these programs, or if the National Party does. I think they might. A special souvenir program covering the 73 LP convention in detail, with photos and a list of speakers and registrants, is available from the Ohio LP. LPs organizing in Florida, Tennessee, and Maryland. We now have temporary state chairmen in 3 new states, Florida, Tennessee, and Maryland. I thought Florida was organized earlier than this. Bringing our total number of states where there is a permanent or temporary LP organization to 32. 22 permanent and 10 temporary. In Florida, the man to see is Richard Spillman. In Tennessee, it's Jim Forrester. In Maryland, it's William R. Bobick. In addition, Fran Moore of Hartford is making a new attempt to get things going in Connecticut after an unsuccessful attempt by Charles Curley last year. A new green sheet giving complete addresses of these and all other LP state chairmen can be obtained by writing the HQ. And the Texas LP contributes $50 to help Carl Bray. It says the Lone Star State LP raised $50 at one of the social events at its state convention held June 3rd and contributed the proceeds to help tax rebel Carl Bray with his legal expenses in his battle with the IRS. And we talked about this probably the beginning of May, we talked about it. Good idea. How about holding a Bray benefit in your area? Oscar Johannesson, endorsed by New Jersey LP. Oscar B. Johannesson running as the individualist candidate in New Jersey. So was there an individualist party? Something else to look up. Law and Order. Look at the way they put, it looks like Law and Order. His opponents are a Law and Order conservative on the GOP side and a Democrat described as a standard Northeastern liberal. Remember last episode where I said for some reason David Nolan had a hard-on for Picasso? Like he freaking hated Picasso. Well, apparently libertarians got offended. That never happens. Picasso comment provokes heated response. Let's see what the libertarians were getting lathered up about in 1973. Our item on the passing of Pablo Picasso last issue provoked no less than 6 letters of comment, an all-time high for any one item in LP News. 1 letter was favorable in its comments and 5 were negative. Those critical of the item pointed out that such an item, the decorum warriors were at work in 1973. That item was not appropriate in a political newsletter. And their point is well taken. Don't cave, David. They only get worse from here. We'll try not to let it happen again. Can you imagine the angry letters? Oh, I'm so upset. Caxton publishes McBride's latest book, The Lady and the Tycoon, a collection of letters exchanged by libertarian novelist Rose Wilder Lane and industrialist Jasper Crane, and compiled by our own Roger McBride, has been published. And let me put this on the screen, because Victoria looked up about the Individualist Party. It says founded in 1956 in response to the arrest of American civil rights activist Rosa Parks, and based off the belief that everyone is equal and deserves the same rights as promised in the United States Constitution. Interesting. I had never heard of them. Okay. Food shortage possible. Stock up now. Thanks to Nixonomics, there may be a serious food shortage this fall and winter, according to several recent newspaper reports. Did that happen? I'm curious. Don't get caught short. A $100 investment in canned food could save you $500 or prevent serious... Oh, can save you $500 or prevent serious hardship in a few months. And did anyone notice that the wire photo pics of the Giglados, whose house was mistakenly raided by the federal Gestapo, that's a good way to put it, in Collinsville, Illinois, last May showed Miss Giglado holding a copy of Atlas Shrugged. We're going to need to look for that photo. That would be fun, won't it? Okay, last thing for this, and then I'm going on the Cajun Libertarian in about an hour. And don't know if that's live streamed or not. If it's look, go to the Cajun Libertarian's Facebook page and you'll see if there's a link to live stream. I think it's pre-recorded though. I never ask. When people ask me to go on shows, I don't ask them what it's about, I just say, okay. As long as I know them, I'm not going to go on like some freaky show or something. Like I'm not going to go on like some, let me think of a show I wouldn't go on. Like, I don't know if someone was like actually a Nazi or something. Like I know we see Nazis everywhere in the LP now, but I'm talking like real ones. No, I wouldn't do that. Okay. Last thing is an ad here. Look for A New Liberty. And that's a great book. And back then you could get it hardcover if you were a member of SIL for $5.75. So right from the beginning, we were promoting Murray Rothbard's work, and this was a hardcore ANCAP book. So even though the party was founded explicitly minarchist, which didn't change till 1974, we're still very open and friendly to anarchist ideas and promoting anarchist ideas. And it's funny, they don't even mention, I think in this ad, that it is an anarchist book. They just call it a libertarian book. He says... he explains the libertarian creed with its basic axiom that no man or groups of men have the right to aggress against the person or property of anyone else. He then applies the libertarian creed to most of the major issues facing America today. So I find it interesting that just unadorned, it's libertarian. So people today who have a hard time accepting that, you're the ahistorical ones, not us. Okay, everyone, this was a fairly short show, but I do, again, have another thing to go to. I don't want to wear out my voice, but I wanted to also get back in the saddle of doing my Friday history things, as I promised. Hopefully, I don't want to say this because I'm gonna curse myself, but this is actually a real wood desk. Mike Seebeck has seen it. It's an old secretary desk. Knock on real wood that the rest of the LNC term will be peaceful. There will be no more political assassination attempts, and I could just go do my normal work. Wouldn't that be amazing? But that's where we are at. Let me go back here a second, back to my full screen. Here we go. And just once again, I'm the world's worst promoter, but again, on the bottom is my Patreon if you like what I do. But also, in the description on YouTube, you can see an Amazon affiliate link. Start all your Amazon purchases there. You don't have to buy the item in the link. It just sticks a cookie on your session, and my affiliate account gets credited with any purchases you make in that session. And also, people like to send me weird things. If you like to send me something weird, my address is also down below. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have an awesome night, and I'll look for you tomorrow. Maybe we'll do ballot access or on the Cajun Libertarian.
Given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business, not because they want to